The purpose of this film is to introduce people to parkour and hopefully to correct many of the misconceptions that you may have as a result of previous introductions to parkour. It's quite a challenge to introduce parkour to somebody, not only because there are many misconceptions out there, but also because of the logistics of making a film about parkour. A film made by a non-practitioner may quite easily misrepresent ideas by accident, just through simple misunderstanding. And if practitioners themselves make the film, then they have to weigh the needs of the film against their own need to train, and that can obviously create conflict. If you have to stop training to alter camera angles, then you don't necessarily get a lot of training done in that session. Also, it's intrinsically difficult to portray parkour through the medium of film, because the things that you see and hear practitioners do, those things are only the side effects of the spirit of parkour. Parkour is in here, it's inside yourself. To show parkour completely, you would have to show someone's entire life. Parkour isn't an escape from life, it's a method for life, and it's very difficult to abbreviate a person's way of life into a short film. However, as you see later, it's simply not in our nature to be put off doing something just because it's challenging. Hi, I'm Dave, behind the camera's Paul.
Hello.
And we're going to try and take you through a bit about parkour in this documentary. So, let's go!
That was a very spectacular entrance.
Yeah, it's quite high. I think when we measured it, it was about 11 foot something, about 7 inches. It's pretty high.
How long did it take? I mean, how much training would go into something like that?
When I first started, I was nowhere near. It took me about 5 or 6 months of training to start getting the top.
Yeah.
But there's a small ridge you can get, but it's only about that thick. So if you have better finger strength, if you don't get as much height, you can still get up.
So, onto the definition. I'm going to try and do my best to explain parkour to you. I'm not going to do it in the same way as other people, and I'm probably not even going to use the same words as other people. I'm going to start from scratch, and I'm going to ask you to do the same with your own understanding. Parkour is the way of movement. It's a way of using movement, not just to increase your capacity to move, but also to increase your capability in lots of things, ultimately to increase your capacity for life. You may have heard people talk about the way of the samurai, or recently the way of the peaceful warrior has become quite popular, or any number of other different ways. They're describing people who follow a certain philosophy in their lives, and that's just what parkour is. It's a philosophy for life. It's a way of approaching life itself. There are plenty of ways to get stronger, such as lifting weights, going to a gym, going for a run, or even wider systems like the natural method. And they all have their own benefits and drawbacks, and we'll speak a bit more later on when we talk about what training comprises in a bit more detail. The main reason people choose parkour is because parkour is fun. Parkour contains great variety, so there'll never be any danger of training stagnating or becoming too monotonous. There will always be new movements to experience, new challenges to face, simply because of the huge variety in our environment. When you get right down to it though, nobody enjoys doing something that they think they're a failure at. We enjoy succeeding, and the greater the challenge we've had to overcome, the greater our enjoyment. In many activities you're competing against others, and even putting 100% effort in is no guarantee of success if your opponent is simply better than you. The way these activities are structured means that there must always be a failure for every success. However, in parkour it's just you and the obstacle. Whatever success you achieve is entirely down to you, which makes it a hugely rewarding activity for everybody. Not only is success down to you yourself, but in parkour you're also in control of your training as a whole. There is no standard to try and measure yourself up against. The things that you learn, the ways that you improve, and these choices are entirely up to you. This is an important aspect for most people. We're happiest when we're in control, because then we can tailor things to suit us. We can make sure that we do the things that we think are useful, and avoid doing the things that we think aren't. There are no rules of etiquette that have to be passed on for thousands of years, no formalities that have no practical purpose, no set techniques, no standards, only the practicalities of achieving what you want to achieve. The basis of parkour training is your own life, your own desires. The only rule is the spirit of parkour. the desire to improve and to overcome any obstacle that prevents you from achieving what you want to achieve. We recognise, however, that there are many fundamental skills that will be useful in achieving almost any end, so there may be many things that we can improve that will be of benefit to us all. The vast majority of parkour training covers these areas. The most obvious benefit is the physical fitness. Parkour keeps you physically active, and having a good level of fitness is hugely important in your overall health. I think most people would agree that whatever your goal in life, actually being alive will go a long way towards helping you achieve it. It's something that's difficult to say with a straight face because it seems so obvious. I mean, of course you want to be alive, but everywhere you go you see signs of people busily ignoring their own health. If they're not overweight, they're smoking or drinking large amounts of alcohol, or they're addicted to caffeine or refined sugars, or any one of 1,000 ways in which most of us go out of our way to shorten our lives. Okay, so parkour is about preparing yourself for the challenges that you're going to come across in life, and to do that you need to practice not just the physical techniques of movement but also prepare your body physically for any challenges that it may face, and to do that you need to do all kinds of physical exercise, which is what we call conditioning.
We do a fair bit of conditioning. I'd say at least about 30 or 40% of all the training I do is conditioning. A lot of the stuff we do is body weight, so we don't carry any weights. You can see the gym over there that we train outside, but we don't use any of the stuff they do, like running machines and all that crap. We do proper running, we do body weight exercises, we do crawling, press-ups, handstand press-ups, pull-ups, muscle-ups, all these different things we do to try and condition the whole body, so there's no weak point.
Recently, in the north of England, a few of us have started doing a session called the No Excuses session as a way of making sure that we get enough physical exercise in a week. Basically, the session's organised into 6 exercises, and each week one of the exercises gets changed, one of them gets more difficult, and one of them is replaced. It's updated by a different person each week, so you don't have control over all the exercises that you do necessarily. You'll have control over one when it's your turn, but the rest of them you're forced to do. And the point of this is to commit yourself to doing exercise on a regular basis. It's called No Excuses because you can do it at any point during the week that it's convenient for you. It's not something that you've got to do on a specific day, so really there are no excuses for missing the exercise.